Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jess. Today we're going to be testing a lot of pumpkin recipes. Very excited about showing you guys some of the stuff that my sister and I tasted. Some of it's from Trader Joe's. Well, a lot of it's from Trader Joe's actually. And then some of it is like a recipe that I found. Just really excited about showing you guys some good pumpkin treats, with it going into fall. I did want to take a second though and talk about my Le Creuset pumpkin before we got started, because a lot of the dishes that you see, we're going to be using this. So here it is. It is a 4-quart enamel Dutch oven by Le Creuset. I'm gonna be honest, this is an expensive pot. It is on Williams-Sonoma, $380. I think it was $367 on Amazon. I have literally wanted this pot for years. I actually bought a black pumpkin Dutch oven from Wayfair for like $50. It rusted after the first time I used it, and I was just so disappointed. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till one of these goes on sale. Didn't go on sale. Happened to be, my birthday's in February, okay? Happened to be out at my birthday with my family, went to this cooking store, and they had all of their pumpkins and Christmas and Valentine's Day Le Creuset stuff for like 40% off. And I honestly got this for 40% off. And it's kind of hard to believe. And it just proves like I waited because I knew this is what I wanted, and I just waited. And I did originally want a different color. However, when I saw this color, blew the other color out of the water. This is exactly everything that I'd want, because we do our decorations a little bit spooky, but I wasn't sure if I wanted a black pumpkin cast iron, because this is something I'm gonna have the rest of my life. And so I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go black. I couldn't decide. I think this is the perfect mix. This will go spooky, it will go fall, it will do whatever. So I am absolutely obsessed with it. I did want to just point out a couple things. One, like I said, 4 quarts. So it's not like the biggest thing, and it is kind of an odd shape. So when you're putting, like, if it's on the stove and you want to put the top back on, it can be a little bit wonky to, I guess, line up the edges of the pumpkin. Also, when you're cooking and stirring, your spoon or spatula, whatever you're using, it is going to hit the sides, of the inside of this. It's still pretty easy to clean. I've had no issues cooking in it. I'm gonna sit the lid down because this thing's heavy. When I store my Le Creuset pots, I always keep the little tabs that come with the pots, and I keep them on. So when I put the lids on, they actually don't sit directly, on the pots. It's just something I do. You don't have to. My mom has had many of these, and she doesn't use these little tabs, and her pots are fine. I just choose to do it so that they don't kind of like beat the top. The inside is like a cream ceramic coated cast iron. I really, really like that it is a light color, and that's why I actually prefer Le Creuset over Staub. Now, my little pumpkins that we eat out of are the Staub pumpkins. I just got mine off of Amazon. I like them. I do like the newer ones better. They're just prettier, but honestly, I have 2, and that's all I need, and they're fine. So, but I do like that the inside of this is a lighter color so that you can see if your food is browning or cooking too much or burning. That tends to be something that happens to me. Overall, I have really, really enjoyed this pot. It's just fun. Is it a need? Absolutely not. Is it expensive? Yeah, very much so. If you can find it on sale, do I think it's worth it? I do. I absolutely love stuff like this. And I also think when you have fun things that you're cooking with, or things that you just really love to cook with, you tend to want to cook more. And I have just had, my sister and I both, we've had so much fun cooking in this pot this week. So I'm just going to show you. This is kind of what I mean about, where's the little tag? There it is. So the big one goes like that. See, it's just a little difficult to line up. It's okay. The things we do. But yeah, I highly recommend almost all my Le Creuset Dutch ovens. I would recommend any of them. You can find them on QVC sometimes for a little bit cheaper as well. But if there's one you really, really like, I say be a little flexible on the color. You can also try the outlets. That's another great place to get, especially like seasonal items, if that's something you're into. Well, honestly, we've just really, really enjoyed it. So I did want to at least give you a couple details about it. So now let's get into all of the pumpkin recipes, some delicious and one not so much. So tonight my sister is actually gonna make a pumpkin gnocchi from Trader Joe's. So she has Italian sausage, the pumpkin gnocchi, and then she's peeling some garlic right now. We have onions and spinach that we're gonna add. Is that sauce going in it? It's just a cream sauce? That's right. So it's a cream Boursin cheese sauce. So this is the pumpkin dish for tonight. And we'll let you know if it's any good and link the recipe below. So like I said earlier, for this first recipe, we are making sausage and pumpkin Boursin gnocchi. And my sister is actually going to be doing a lot of these recipes because she's the one who bought most of the pumpkin stuff from Trader Joe's. Right now, she is actually just caramelizing some onions and some butter until it is good and brown. And then we just got some water boiling on the stove while she finished up the sauce. She added some garlic, and then it actually calls for some sausage out of the casing. She bought some sausage links from Trader Joe's, and as you can see, she is just squeezing the sausage out of the casing, and then she browned it in the butter sauce and with the onions and the garlic. You see here that she just put a splash of Worcestershire and then added a little bit of whipping cream. Then she added the Boursin cheese directly into the pot, mixed it up, and it just made this really creamy sausage sauce. Then she got the pumpkin gnocchi boiling on the stove, and we also decided to add a little bit of spinach just to add a little bit more nutrients. We tried to cut it up really small, and we just added in there. You can't even tell it's there. So she just stirred that in, and once it was all good and cooked, she added a little bit of pasta water just to thin out the sauce. And then finally, she drained her gnocchi and then added it to the sauce, and it was ready to go. I have to admit, this was a really, really good meal. The pumpkin gnocchi was surprisingly delicious. It wasn't super sweet, but it still had that little bit of sweetness, but the sausage was spicy, so it just really balanced each other out. I am a huge fan of sweet and spicy, and I would absolutely eat this dinner all over again. Part of our pumpkin journey, my sister picked up some pumpkin bagels from Trader Joe's. They have little leaves on the top. It's so adorable. Anyway, I'm going to heat one of these up for breakfast, and then she also got this pumpkin cream cheese from Trader Joe's. So going to try that this morning and just scramble an egg and just see kind of what the pumpkin bagels are like. I've never had this, so this will be fun to try. I'm just gonna toast it in the oven. I don't have a toaster or anything, so just gonna put it in the oven and toast it up a little bit while I make the eggs, and then I will show you the finished product and let you know how it tastes. I just have my scrambled eggs with 2 eggs with some cottage cheese, and here is the pumpkin bagel with the pumpkin cream cheese from Trader Joe's. I tasted the bagel alone. You can really taste like the nutmeg in it. It really tastes like a warm bagel. I think you could probably make this on your own if you don't want, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the pre-made bagels, so if you don't want that, I think you really could make, I'm sure there are recipes out there to make pumpkin bagels. I'm gonna taste it with the cream cheese. Similar to the bagel, you can really taste sorry, my bread machine's going. You can taste the spices. I really think you could probably get cream cheese and add a little pumpkin, add a little cinnamon, nutmeg, and get kind of the same flavor if you are, like I said, not wanting all the extras in it, but pretty good, to be completely honest. So this is gonna be a fun treat for breakfast. In this next recipe, I'm actually going to be making pumpkin soup and a side sandwich. First, you started off with some butter, and then you caramelized some onions. I had my onion pucks, and since I knew this dish was just going to be pureed in the end, I just went ahead and just added the already pureed onion puck. Looking back, I think it would have been better to do sliced onions and then actually emulsify the soup, but you live and you learn. I just think it would have had a better caramelization. Then the recipe did call for some freshly grated ginger, and I just put that in with the onions while it was caramelizing, and then I also added some garlic along with cinnamon and salt. I will say in the end I did add a little bit more salt and added some red pepper flakes because I just didn't feel like it had the taste I was looking for. It also called for a freshly grated nutmeg, and then once all of that cooked, you just add a splash of beef stock or beef bone broth, whatever you want, and then you just put a little bit in the bottom and make almost like a paste. And then you're gonna add the rest of the beef bone broth, and then you add the water after that. Finally, I added 2 cans of pumpkin puree. I just bought this from the store. There are plenty of recipes out there where you can roast your own pumpkin, but for me, I just added the 2 cans of pumpkin and called it a night. So while the pumpkin soup cooked on the stove, it was time to make my sandwiches. I made this loaf of bread earlier that day and I didn't record it. And of course it turned out to be one of the best loaves I've made in forever, but that's just how it happens, I guess. So I just cut the bread up. I put some cheese on one side and some shredded chicken on the other that I got from the deli, and then put in the oven for 10 minutes at 350 until the cheese melted and the chicken was good and warm. Then I decided I just wanted an arugula and pickle salad topper to go on my sandwich. And I know that sounds really odd, but I love pickles so much on sandwiches, and I just kind of wanted like a already chopped up just a topper to put on my sandwich, and so I just did arugula, pickles, and some green goddess dressing. And I know that sounds so weird, but honestly it was the best part of the whole meal. I thought the sandwich was absolutely delicious. Now the final step of the soup is you just add a little bit of cream and you mix that up. Overall, this meal was okay. I am not going to say that this was my favorite meal because it absolutely was not. I am not a big fan of soup, but I realized during this that I don't like pumpkin soup in general. It was just too sweet and I just wasn't a fan. It has been such a long day at work. I went to the gym. Like, it's just in general been an incredibly long day. I'm here by myself. My sister is out at a concert or something like that. So I kind of thought it would be a good time to try the Trader Joe's Butternut Squash mac and cheese. Kind of viral. I've never had it before. But I did think it would be a good time just because it's just me. So I am gonna heat up a little bit of chicken to eat with this, but I'm gonna cook it and try it without the chicken to let you know how it is. And I know it's not pumpkin, but butternut squash and pumpkin are like all in the same family. So, and I decided to cook mine in the oven, not in the microwave. I know you can do both. I'd rather take the extra time and cook it in the oven. Okay, here it is all mixed up. I mean, it is quite cheesy. I can't say it's like what I expected. It can also be like, I just don't really eat a lot of freezer meals anymore, so I haven't had something like this in a very, very long time. It does look pretty cheesy. I'm gonna taste it and see what it tastes like and give you my thoughts. Okay, I just tasted it and I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it actually is. It's delicious. I understand why it's so viral, to be honest with you. So I will say all of these different pumpkin things that we have been trying from Trader Joe's really makes me want to try to make them homemade and see, like, you know, how they are like with whole foods and stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm going to try the pumpkin bagel. I found a recipe that I really want to try, and since I've been working on bagels anyway, I thought like, I'll just go ahead and do a pumpkin bagel. But this may have to go in the mix. I have made a pumpkin like Alfredo before and it was delicious, but this has some different cheeses in it. And then the butternut squash, I'm not sure. I'm just gonna do a little research, but as far as this, if you need a quick mac and cheese, it's pretty good. I cannot say that it's not. It's very, very good. Now for the final recipe, which by the way is probably my favorite pumpkin recipe that we did, we just took some chicken sausage and cut it up into pieces, threw it in the Dutch oven with a little bit of oil to let it brown. Once it was good and brown and charred, I pulled it out and put it on paper towel just to let some of the oil soak off. And then I washed some sage leaves, put them in a pile and cut them into strips because we were gonna fry them. I've never really had sage that I can remember. I mean, I know I've had it in things, but I couldn't really say if I liked it or not because I couldn't really remember having ever eaten it. All I can really say is, wow, it was so good. So we just added a stick of butter to the pan, let it melt down, and then you add your sage leaves, let it crisp up and fry in the butter. And you're really just making a brown butter sauce and frying some sage in it. And then we took the pumpkin ravioli from Trader Joe's, put it in some boiling water for just a couple minutes. Now, it did look a little bit wild and it was like all stuck together when we first put it in the boiling water. However, after it cooked for the 2 minutes, it just separated like it was supposed to and everything worked out fine. Now once the pasta was finished, my sister did put it in a separate bowl because she was going to add a little bit of the water to the sauce in the Dutch oven, and it actually kind of foamed up a little bit when she added it. She added it very, very, very slowly because you just, safety first. You don't want it splashing or splattering or making this huge reaction because you added the water too fast. Once that was at the consistency that she wanted, she put the pumpkin ravioli into the sauce and mixed it up really well, and then it was time to plate. I do want to show you these pasta bowls that I got from Amazon. I had never really used pasta bowls before until my mom bought some. And I actually really, really like them a lot. So these are the ones that I've had for a couple years now, and I really like them. Just wanted to, show you. It's just a convenient size for a lot of different dishes. But back to the pumpkin ravioli. I was actually shocked, to be honest, at how good it was. Once again, you got that sweet and that spicy and got a little bit of crunch from the fried sage. This was hands down my favorite pumpkin dish over the past 2 weeks. Highly, highly recommend.